Hey, good morning. Welcome to another episode of North Coast Coffee Chats. I'm Kelly Klein, Loan Coach Kelly with One Trust Home Loans, and my partner in crime here today.
David West, your solar best.
And we're shooting episode number 35 here of North Coast Coffee Chats. And as a part of North Coast Networking Group, we are a entrepreneur-spirited group that meets every Thursday morning. We are built to create referrals, building a relationship with people of our community, small business owners who are entrepreneurs, trying to help them grow their business by making connections, setting up referrals, and getting to just meet great people in the community. And so today we've got one of our newer members to the group at NCCC, Joe Iredale. Joe, how's it going this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to this episode. So Joe joined us recently here within the last month or so. And I've had a couple of opportunities to speak with Joe for a few hours about his business and looking to work with him and his business. So we're going to dive into this episode and get to know a little bit about Joe and his business, Raver.
Yeah, so before we get into Raver, a little bit curious about your story, how you ended up in North County, San Diego, and then ultimately the path of entrepreneurship to what you're doing with Raver.
Great. So it's a long one, but basically I'm originally from Philadelphia, born and raised, very proud Philly sports fan. Love the Eagles, love the Phillies. Sorry, Padres fans out there, but that's all right.
Eagles got my Rams barely.
So I went to Penn State. After Penn State, I got into the world of basically like lead generation through my first job was with Yellow Pages, and this is back in the early 2000s, so people were still using the physical phone book, and that was right about when Google had launched AdWords and started monetizing the Google site and lead generation through there. So it was really like a prime time where I was one of the youngest people at Yellowbook, and sort of embraced the whole digital lead generation with yellowbook.com. I got into that. And then from that point, basically just dove headfirst into internet marketing, into web development, so forth. So from that pathway, I launched a couple businesses. I had some lead generation services. And it was really always just focused on how do we get consumers to businesses and what does that vehicle look like? So it went from print to digital, and the transgression of how consumers, reach out to businesses, it's just changed and evolved year over year. And so that's what brought us to Raver. So prior to this, I've had a couple different agencies that I own. I own several other businesses, but it's how I got into being an entrepreneur is I'm not really a good employee, so it's a lot easier to create a job sometimes than find a job. So yeah, that's how this all kind of came to be.
When you were with Yellowbook, was that here in San Diego or was that still in Philadelphia?
So that was in Philadelphia. So Yellowbook actually, it was previous to Yellowbook. It was actually the Donnelly Directory.
Okay, and I remember that name.
Yeah, so we were based in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, which is like right outside of Philly. So that was the office that started Yellowbook, and then Yellowbook just grew and grew, and so it was. I had an opportunity. I was really early in that company too, so I watched it grow through acquisition and everything like that, and being younger, and I had some really amazing mentors in that company that then went on to be CEOs and run other really big companies. So they kind of took me under their wing. So I got to see a lot of the behind the scenes growth strategies and stuff with that company, and then that really kind of propelled my trajectory with starting my own companies and seeing how that process works and so forth.
So then what got you, at what point in time did you get to San Diego, and what business path brought you out here?
So I'll skip a couple businesses, but okay. Right around in 2009, or a little bit earlier, I was approached as a company called Yodel. So Yodel started out as basically an idea and an incubator program at University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School. And Yodel then grew. It was the largest internet marketing company in the world. So I was one of the very early employees at Yodel. So I watched it go from, basically a small little office in Philadelphia, where I'm from, to an office in DC, North Carolina, Charlotte, then out to Texas and so forth. So got to be a part of that whole growth. But with the company, when we were scaling Yodel, it's basically was a kind of a one-size-fits-all offering. So like if you were a small business and we wanted to get every small business under the sun, it was you got a cookie cutter website and you got a cookie cutter marketing plan. And that served most, but not all. So there were a ton of businesses and individuals reaching out and saying, we need a little bit more customization. Can you do this and that? And the core competencies of Yodel, because of the growth strategy, really didn't allow for anything above and beyond what was just, the framework of it. Yeah, so I saw that as a huge opportunity. I said, you know what? Well, we might not be able to do it here, but I'm going to start another company over here that's going to handle a more boutique style white glove service of higher customized value for these businesses. And that was a company I launched called Sure Sites, which I still have. And interestingly enough, I still actually have some of the original clients that from back in 2010 that are still working with us today through that. So how I got to San Diego was this. We were living in Ocean City, New Jersey. Every winter, my wife and I had two boys at the time. We would go, somewhere nice for the winter time, so I could like surf and all this stuff. And when my oldest, who's now 16, he was about 4 or 5. We were in Puerto Rico for the winter, and it kind of hit me. I was like, oh shoot, he's got to go to school next year. We can't do this. So I remember it, as plainly as yesterday. I got out of the water and I said to my wife, I'm like, let's move to Carlsbad, California. She's like, okay. So we got back from Puerto Rico in I think like March, and we drove out with the 2 boys who were 4 and 2 now that I remember. We drove out, we found a place online, we rented it, drove out. 2 years later, we ended up buying the place across the street, and this was 11 years ago, and now I have 5 kids. So
holy moly.
My oldest is junior at Carlsbad High, and then I have his brother is at Valley, and then I have 2 girls and a son who just turned 4 yesterday. So
oh wow.
Yeah, so that's how I got here, and it's been awesome. It's like the greatest decision I ever made.
How did you choose Carlsbad, California?
Because of the proximity of good waves and surf. Like that was sure. The main reason. And it's I had been out here a bunch. We were actually out here like a couple winters before, and I just loved it. I love Carlsbad because it still had, this is 10 years ago, so it still had that kind of like beach town community feel. It wasn't really, I'm blue collar, grew up like in Philly, so I like that kind of edginess of like Oceanside, but I like the niceness of Carlsbad.
Yeah.
So that's where we kind of really fell in love with Carlsbad, and I love North County. It's just an awesome place to live. So
yeah, I do feel we're pretty blessed to be in such a great town that's also booming with business and industry, with beach, with weather, with great schools, and just about anything you want. Like, vacationing a lot in beachy towns and islandy towns and stuff. Like, they're all cool, but it's like you come back to San Diego and you're like, okay, this is cool. Like, we really live in a cool place.
Yeah, that really hit me a couple times when we've gone to places with the kids, and they're like, it's not that they're not impressed, but they're like, oh, let's go to the beach, or they'll have a pool. And like when I was a kid, if we went to a Motel 6 or like a dump that had a pool and it was December and freezing, we were in that pool. Like,
it was a big deal.
My kids are like, the beach, this isn't as nice as our beach. Like, it's like, all right, well,
little spoiled.
Yeah, a little bit, but
spoiled.
it's what you become accustomed to, I guess. But it's cool to like you said, like come back. Anytime we travel, it's like, I really miss it here. Like there's no other place that I think is cooler, than where we live, and just because of that. So
can I just say that I love that you pointed out, like, oh, I kind of like the edginess of Oceanside. That is, I'm from Jersey. That is such an East Coast thing to say. You'll never find somebody that was born and raised here that's like, oh, I like it when it's a little edgy. They don't know what that's about, man. So represent.
There we go.
Edginess.
Yeah, got to keep it real.
Yeah. Well, growing up in Ventura County and moving to San Diego, it's certainly not much edginess in my life. But
You didn't make a stop in Compton?
no, drove
All right.
right past through there pretty quickly every time. Yeah. So, man, long journey. Spirit of entrepreneurship started really early, and sounds like, as you mentioned, having some pretty high-powered executives to learn and model, what business is all about from at a young age. It sounds like kind of helped plant some roots there for you, and that fast forwards us to today and how we met through your new business, Raver. So let's talk a little bit about Raver, because it's something else. It's on the cutting edge of a massive wave of change that we're about to embark on here, it sounds like.
Yeah, and like, not to overstate this, but I've done a lot of really cool stuff and been part of really good companies, but this by far is the biggest opportunity of anything that I've ever been a part of. Not the business itself, but the opportunity of leveraging AI to help small businesses. And the fact that, we invested over the past year and a half to 2 years, just all of our efforts in figuring out how the large language models, the ChatGPTs, the Groks, how they are deciding what answers they're coming up with, because it comes from somewhere. It's not just a magical, oh, I asked ChatGPT what a best recommendation is. Like, that data has to come from somewhere. So we literally reverse engineered what that looks like and how those weights are managed within the answers. And we found a replicable system to empower, let's say, our businesses to be more likely recommended in an answer situation. So we beta tested it. We did every single possible, check and balance to make sure that this is legitimate and it is actually working and we can reproduce it. And then, we slowly rolled it out, but I continually, every day, I look, see, is anybody else doing this? And we're one of one that have taken on this approach and gotten the results that we've gotten. So the opportunity is just incredible, and the demand that we have, because what all businesses will notice right now, if they've done anything recently with Google, with Yelp, if they're buying leads online, they've noticed that these leads are not what they used to. Well, I'll just say it bluntly, they suck. The leads are not good compared to 2-3 years ago. And it's not because anything changed from the delivery aspect of the Googles and the Yelps. It's because consumers are using Google less, they're using Yelp less. They might be using them as kind of a due diligence process, but when it comes to who do I trust in an answer situation, they know that someone can pay and be at the top of Google, and someone can pay and be at the top of Yelp. But when you ask ChatGPT, like, they're getting what seemingly is an uninfluenced answer. So that's where the consumer shift has happened. And so we really wrapped our arms around that and said, okay, how do we supply the information to make sure that our businesses are the ones that are getting noticed and getting found when these are doing it? And it's been incredible. And so the demand, getting back to that, it's almost overwhelming with businesses once they find out what we're doing, and then we show them the results. They're like, whoa, we got to get a part of this. So that's been really exciting, and my inbox is constantly full. My sales reps are, printing money, basically. It's awesome because it's working. It's a mutually beneficial relationship with our clients and us, and and it continues to evolve. So it's really cool.
So to tap on that, I've experienced that myself so much in the solar industry. Like, people are constantly I make jokes about it with my clients that they're looking up everything about solar on ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. And they'll vet companies and all this stuff just using the LLM. And it is a different way of, searching for sure for information based on what they want to make a decision on.
Correct.
So for you, how does that really, how is it different from SEO? Like,
Great question.
for people that aren't really well educated on LLMs versus Google.
So on the technical side, SEO has to do with the search engines and optimizing towards the search engine ranking. So what that looks like, imagine like a deck of cards, whereas like your card, you want your card to the top of the deck. So the search engine looks at each of the cards and then it says, okay, based on what's written on the card and then based on like the other things out there that connect to this card, I'm going to put this one at the top, this one second, this one third, this one fourth. So that's basically SEO in the terms of a search engine. What the large language models do, like the ChatGPT, is they're not ranking the cards. They're taking the information from the entire deck and they're analyzing it, and then they're getting their answer that way. So it's not just based on what's on your website, and it's not stacking them. It's extrapolating the content from all of the sites, and then that's what's coming up with the answer. So that being said, the content that like no one's going to build a website that says like, we're really good at this, but we're kind of average over here and whatever. Everyone's the best at everything. So the credibility of the website, if you're just optimizing for search engine ranking, you're missing out on the whole opportunity to have a holistic approach to being an authoritative answer when the LLMs look for it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. So So what does Raver really do? Let's say I'm a small business and I want to enhance my my searchability on ChatGPT or any of these LLMs, and I reach out to you. What does that process look like that you would help someone achieve what they want with Raver?
So the first thing that we do is we run a full audit of the business. We look at something that's called the NAP score, the name, address, phone number. So this will show us how it's listed across all of these different aggregators that take that data and then resell it over and over and over again. So when you turn on your navigation in your car or Waze or whatever, right? Like Waze didn't hire somebody to go through and type all that in. They bought it from a source of one of these aggregators. So what happens is these aggregators then talk to each other and they say, okay, so this listing is XYZ Street ST, and then this one's 123 STERT, right? So if those don't match, then it dings it basically, and it says, okay, well, I don't know how accurate this information is because this one's off, this one has a comma, this one doesn't. So in terms of like authoritative credit, like these listings have to be exactly alike on all of these aggregators, which is really difficult to do because the data gets inputted. So the first thing we do is we scan that and then we correct all of these so they're all in unison. The next thing that we do is we pull in every single review or mention about the business that's ever been made online and we put it into a single source platform. We then start to communicate with those platforms in a manner in which is going to seed the questions that people are asking. So like that works through reviews. We then fix the schema on the backs of the sites, and then we have a constant run and check on how people are asking to find those types of businesses within the categorical searches. We take those answers and then we interweave them into the site, into the reviews, into the NAP listings, and then we also, and this is kind of our secret sauce, but we have a syndicated content network that will take all that information and push it out into the likes of like Reddit and Wikipedia and all the places that we know that the LLMs are looking for these answers. And then when you do that, I mean, it's like killing an ant with a sledgehammer. And this is why our clients get the results, because I can guarantee you that unless they're working with us, no one is doing that. No, you don't have the plumber down the street that one day just says, hey, let me figure out how to do this and take the time to do it. So they're not going to be able to compete with you. So that's why it's really exciting for us because, we can deliver right off the bat. And then another difference between SEO and what we do is SEO, you have to wait for the search engine to index the work that you've done. And there's no control over that. With this, because it's a direct fetch, it's there. So it pulls immediately. The second we put stuff out there, the second we respond to a review, it's on the review site. So it's really, really cool, and we've had some amazing success with it.
So how long has Raver been in launch? You said you baited it for a while.
Yeah.
When did you guys go and officially start taking on clients and doing this integration?
So the process started about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And it was bred completely out of necessity from existing clients from my other company that were calling, because we're managing their Yelp and their Google and their lead gen. And they're like, you guys stink. Like, what happened to these leads? We're not getting the return on investment we used to. So that's when the genesis of like, we got to figure out a different way to deliver value here, because like their cost per lead has gone through the roof, and they're blaming us. And like, they should. It's our job, like as a custodian of their online spend. We're responsible to get them a return on investment. So that's where it started. So that was about, let's say, a year and a half to 2 years ago. So we migrated a bunch of existing clients into the system. We worked it out, and then I would say it's probably been about 9 months or so that we went full Yodel as a standalone, Raver as a standalone product. And why that's important to note is that with Raver, we're not replacing their existing agency. Like, if they're working with someone, awesome. If they have a web developer, that's cool too. We don't need to rip anything out to put this in. This is like putting an additive in your gas tank. This is going to help cost average down what your leads are. It's going to enhance everything else you're doing, but you certainly don't need to replace your web guy to do this. So that's why we spun off Raver as its own autonomous thing. And to answer your question, it was about, let's say 8 months ago is when we launched that as a standalone.
Okay. So as you mentioned too, you do a ton of fact checking to see that nobody else is mimicking your business model. So one of the things that you and I talked about in our meetup was how if you become an early inceptor, you get your business into this platform and into this modeling before the race really opens up. What does that look like for a business?
So it's like, getting back to my Yellow Page days, it's like getting the first full page in the phone book. Whereas like, if you start doing it, because of the way that it's almost like compounding interest, because of the way that the LLMs mimic answers and they build on like what people are trending and so forth. Like, once you start that process, if someone starts after you, they can't catch up because it's just compounded. So the early adapters to this, if you keep going, like they'll have to change, like ChatGPT. The whole nature of how that works would have to fundamentally change for anyone to catch the early adapters to this. So that's why it's like, it is a race right now. One of the things, and this is a double-edged sword actually, because I'm so pro small business. It's the bread and butter, the bloodline of our country. But that being said, we have tons of franchise companies and big companies now that I've worked with in the past that have caught wind, and they're like, we want to put this into our system and so forth. So the sad part of that is, once they do it, we're going to be in a situation right now where, like, a small business, it's difficult to break into an industry because you're competing with these big franchises of the world, and they have economies of scale. So that's why for small business right now, if you get in, you can jump these guys before they get into our system and so forth. So,
That was like my number. I was going to ask about that too, because I'm thinking about it. Like, if over the next 2 years, if you are on this platform, great. If you're not, how do you even break into, like, I don't know if you can break into finding, or people finding you online anymore?
Well, so this is where, like, right now, if you're a generalist in your business, right? Like, we're getting all the major, like, if you think about broad keywords versus like long tail, where it's like something very specific. If you focus right now, we're catching everything because we don't have to be that specific. But like, if you, let's say you wait and you're an Italian restaurant. You're like, okay, well, like these Italian restaurants, I'm never going to be recommended as the best Italian restaurant, but I have really good breadsticks. So like, I want to be known for breadsticks, and I'll crush it on breadsticks because these Italian restaurants are getting so much business now because they're the best Italian restaurant, but they're not focusing on being the best breadsticks. So that's where the nuances and the specialty, specialization of those searches and queries come in. And that's where it starts to even the playing field a little bit. But then it just comes down to like, the businesses right now, it's like a land grab. And it goes, there is a point in this type of environment where it goes from land grab to like, now you're just playing defense. Like right now, everybody's playing offense. And then once you play offense, then you just switch and it's like future proof to make sure that no one can take your spot and so forth. So that's how that works out. But right now, I mean, I was talking to, one of my attorney clients, a big personal injury guy. He's like, man, he's like, you ever see those game shows where like the guys go into the money machines, it's all flying around? He's like, that's what this is right now. He's like, you don't really know, you just want to grab it and get out. I'm like, that's exactly right. Like, we don't know how much money is going to last in the air, how much time you have in there, but now is the time to get in because it is wide open. So,
or it's like Squid Games where if you take out your competition, you get more.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a small business owner and a startup for 2.5 years, and I look at top tier property management as my business, and there's 100 property management companies in San Diego County, and there's millions of houses, but how do you get more? Like, how do I keep finding more doors to be a manager of and more clients to help support? And, having my website out there and being on Yelp and getting Google reviews and all those things, like they're helpful, but it's not like every day my phone's ringing with a new client. And I'm like, how do I get my phone to ring every day with a new client? And to me, this is like getting out in front of this opportunity seems to me like a perfect segue into business growth, small business growth to beat that race.
Yeah, and it's, like a lot of things are just come down to take your business owner's hat off and put your consumer hat on and be like, how would I go about hiring a property manager? Like, well, the first thing I would do is learn everything. Like now it's so easy. It's like what should I look for in a property manager? Like, who am I going to ask that to? Like, ChatGPT probably, and it'll say these are the things that you should look for, and like so these are queries, and then imagine that if you're the one, like your business is supplying those answers, and it's like, oh, these are the things you should look for. By the way, this is a really good company you should call. So that's how the consumer process is now migrated. Where like, and the good thing too is like, we're finding that these leads or these consumers, they're so educated now. Like it's the easiest sale for our businesses because they've already done their due diligence, and basically ChatGPT, the LLMs, have given them the answer and then led them right to the doorstep. So they know what to ask for. They know that, pricing, they have a pretty good range. Like there's no sticker shock anymore. And, so that could be a double-edged sword in some cases, but it's only a double-edged sword if they're getting the wrong information. And so getting back to the point that we're supplying the right information,
right? It's
controlling the conversation. So
yeah, getting yourself to the level where they find you, then having the good Yelp reviews and having the good Google reviews behind then just solidifies your power position there when they find you through that ChatGPT question, and then they can mimic that and go, oh, wow, okay, here they are, here they are there, here they are there. And then they become, it's almost the sale's closed.
Yeah, we like to say obvious choice. So like we make our clients the obvious choice. There is zero chinks in the armor. Like we're gonna make sure that your reviews are tight. We're gonna make sure that your information's accurate. We're gonna make sure that your website tells the same story. Everything falls in line. That, it's all just, it has to do with congruency. And like if there's any kind of variation from that, that's where, you leave room for someone to go somewhere else. But if you just tell the whole story and you make sure it's all buttoned up, I mean, it's a slam dunk.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably one of the most fascinating things that's it's upcoming. Like we're gonna all be impacted by what you're working on, which is awesome. Before we wrap up here, just as a little bit more insight to Joe, what are your things that motivate you outside of this passion that you have for helping small businesses get new leads? Like your kids, you mentioned surfing.
Yeah.
What are the things that motivate Joe?
I mean, I would say that probably the I've always tried to figure out a way to like augment my business to fit my passions, which, you know, when I was younger, was surfing. I love surfing, and fighting. So I love to fight. So I do jujitsu. You know, I'll fight somebody in the parking lot. I love it. You know, like it doesn't matter. So I'm always down for a scrap. But
Don't hit his car with your shopping cart.
no, you got to sign a waiver first. But and then, you know, but the main thing is definitely my family. I have five amazing kids, and my wife is a rock star, and we've been together forever. And so, you know, it doesn't. Everything else, like this is just cool. Like this is helps my brain, you know, scratch that itch with curiosity and watching stuff. But the main thing is like none of this, any kind of success on all these businesses or whatever. Like I'd be happy living in a cardboard box with my kids and, you know, doing cool stuff. So
And a couple waves.
yeah, that's it. That's all. Some waves, some people to fight, and maybe at
Well,
the
if you're
same
living in a
time.
cardboard
Don't
box,
steal my wave.
you might find a couple.
Yeah,
waves.
right.
steal my
Nah,
wave.
that's it, man. That's all. That's it. So we're blessed, and you know, I don't take any of it for granted. And if I lose it all tomorrow, as long as I have that, then who cares, you know? So, but I've been very fortunate. So yeah.
Well, this has been super informative, and for our audience out there tuning into this episode, how do people find you to start growing their business through Raver?
So real easy, raver.com, RAVRR.com is good. The site, there's a video on there that gives a little bit more about what we're about. We have an assistant, AI, so you can ask that assistant anything. She's trained pretty good. And if you just reach out, like the contacts, I'm super hands-on with everything. So if you put something in there, I will absolutely see it when it comes through. So shoot me a note through the site, and we'll chat. And here's something also to note, that it's not always like forthcoming. It doesn't work for everybody, right? So like, but we don't know until we dive into it. So, you know, even if you think like, maybe like, I don't know if this is it, let's just chat, because I'll let you know if it's not, because there's plenty of people that it is a great fit for, that we don't have to cram people in that aren't a great fit for. We're not like a high pressure sales organization where we have sales reps that have to hit quotas and stuff like that. So if it's a good fit, we'll let you know. And if you're not a good fit, we will definitely let you know that as well. So raver.com is where you want to go check out.
Awesome. So there you have it. Technology on the cutting edge with artificial intelligence, helping to grow your small businesses. Raver.com, Joe Iredale. Great to have you on our episode here today, episode 35. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, you know, we are members of North Coast Networking Group, NCCC. We meet every Thursday morning at Beach Plum Kitchen for networking and business growth and trying to generate leads and create opportunities for each other's small businesses. And another one of our small business partners is our host here, Max Lux Media, and Rob Esposito, our partner here, hosting us in this amazing room that he's got here for our podcast. And we want to thank you for putting on some great episodes for us and fantastic editing. And if you're interested in growing your small business, check out raver.com and also check out North Coast Networking Group.